Hello, I am here for chapter 1, and here the colonists had asked the king if they could come over to the New America to explore the New World. But basically, they just wanted religious freedom. When they came here, they decided the idea of self-government, where they signed the Mayflower Compact. And when they came here, they had a hard time living up in America. They didn't know how to farm or anything where they had landed, so the Native Americans helped them. Um, Also known as the Columbian Exchange, where the Indians brought them food, but the Europeans brought them disease, which most Indians died. They stayed and they settled and hoping to find the three G's. When they came here, they settled three regions or 13 colonies known as New England, the Middle Colonies, and the Southern Colonies. New England had rocky soil, unclear forests, and major trade routes. The Middle Colonies were farmed with good soil but traded as well. South had very rich soil and long growing seasons, which they used to grow cash crops, and that's how they made their money. Um, well, to grow the cash crops, they wanted to make more and more money, so that's when they brought in the slaves, which was known as the slave trade, where they got slaves to work on their plantation. A little after this, when British had came, and French, they were growing with power in America. They wanted more and more, so the British and French fought in a war called the French and Indian War, where British won that war but was left in very great debt. And for this, they decided to tax the colonists a lot. And the colonists were not happy about this. They chanted taxation without representation, and they decided to boycott things. They protested in many ways, such as the Boston Tea Party, which led to the Intolerable Acts. And also the first battle, which was Lexington and Concord, which led to the American Revolution. Some colonists decided to fight for the independence, but some stayed loyal to the king, which were called loyalists. And this later changed when they made the Common Sense, which brought some loyalists to become a patriot. And in the end in Battle of Saratoga and Valley Forge, which were many important moments, because Valley Forge they learned how to fight, and Battle of Saratoga were when French aligned with the United States to take on Britain. And the Battle of Yorktown was the final battle, which led to the independence of the United States, and they won their independence. So, bye-bye!
American Revolution between the America and the British, they needed a strong and stable government. This is whenever our founding fathers wrote the Articles of Confederation. They figured it would help prevent another British government with direct orders from the king. The Articles of Confederation was a weak document which wasn't able to tax imported goods, which was needed after the death from the American Revolution. Since this didn't work, the Federalists believed that they should ratify the Articles of Confederation into the U.S. Constitution. Anti-Federalists, on the other hand, thought this was a bad idea, and they were in fear that this would lead to another British government.
Are you done?
No. You're cutting this, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. After much convincing, though, they agreed to ratify the Articles of Confederation and adopted the U.S. Constitution, which protected all individual rights through their amendments. Was freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of press. Amendment 2 was the right to bear arms. Amendment 3 was no boarding the troops in their house without consent. Amendment 4 was no search without a warrant. Amendment 5 was the right to remain silent. Amendment 6 was trial by jury. Amendment 7 was a speedy trial. Amendment 8 was no parole or unusual punishment. Amendment 9 was unalienable rights. Amendment 10 was no laws or rights given to the government or given to the states.
That's good.
Okay, now we are moving on to early republic. So early republic is based it involves with the War of 1812 in the Supreme Court decisions. With the War of 1812, the causes of the War of 1812 were the impressments of sailors. What that was is that the British, they were kidnapping U.S. sailors to join their army and to I guess work for them. I don't know. Be in their army. And then another cause was the and guys, no. All right. So, in the effect of the impressments of the U.S. sailors was the Embargo Act. And the Embargo Act, what it was is that who couldn't trade anymore? The U.S. or the British?
U.S.
The U.S. could not trade anymore. The U.S. could not trade anymore, and they were on their way to going into debt. And that was the effect of the impressments of U.S. sailors. Stop it, Eduardo. And the other cause for the War of 1812, was the stirring of ties with the Native Americans. Did the British give them a weapon? And so what that really was, so the British, they wanted to go in war with the U.S. and they needed more to defeat U.S. And so they decided to give weapons to Native Americans so that they will attack U.S. But later on, that became a conflict, and U.S. would want to go into war. But British didn't want to go into war anymore. But U.S. said no, we are going to war. They have kidnapped our U.S. sailors, and they have attacked.
Hurry up.
And so, yeah, that was it. And after, and also the key Supreme Court decisions. There is so many verses. There is Marbury versus Madison, the Dred Scott decision. I don't know how to say that. How you say it? McCalloo?
I don't know. Just keep on going.
So what the Dred Scott decision was is that Dred Scott was an African Native American slave who once had an owner. Of course, he's a slave. Stupid of me. Anyways, his owner died, and Dred Scott was in an area where slave was no longer prohibited, and he was fighting for his freedom. So he went into court. But the judge.
Bro, so
Wait, come on, just walk.
the court. Why was that court? Bro.
Okay, so Dred Scott went to court, but then the judges, they said that he could not have his freedom because he was property and he was slave. And what's it called? And the U.S. Constitution did not affect him because he was not a U.S. citizen. Andrew Jackson was the 7th president elected in 1829 of the United States of America. And in the War of 1812, he was a hero known as to fight in the Battle of New Orleans. And soon, in 1829, he was elected president, as I said in the beginning. And he was also known as to sign the Indian Removal Act, where he kicked all the Redskins out of America and set them further west. Because Andrew Jackson wants the money and wants more land because he found out there was gold and on the Redskins' land, aka Native Americans, and that's it. Okay, so here we go. We are now talking about Manifest Destiny and sectionalism. Yes, Manifest Destiny and sectionalism. You heard me. Okay, let's go. Let's get right into the news. So, for Manifest Destiny, it was a God-given mission to the colonies, which is dumb. It's like asking, go rob that car. God told me. No, that's stupid. But it was a God-given mission, supposedly they said, to go expand west and take over all the land. And for sectionalism, it divided on political beliefs that North didn't want slaves, but the South did. Because North had industries, while South had plantations where they needed slaves. And it divided them apart, splitting the country, where later on, the South they seceded from the Union and they made their own country. Stop zooming in, John. That's pretty bad.
For the Civil War, slavery, the Southerns had slavery and the Southerns had slavery and the North didn't, and so the Southern slaves decided to leave South and they escaped North. The South didn't like this, so they passed the fugitive slave law that made the North participate in catching the slaves in the North. The North didn't like that.
Boom. Yeah.
The Civil War began at Fort Sumter. The North wasn't Fort Sumter, and the South started fighting at the North. Battle of Gettysburg. Battle of Gettysburg. Battle of Gettysburg was the deadliest battle, and saying that the Northerners should have died in the battle. Battle of Vicksburg. Battle of Vicksburg. Battle of Vicksburg, the ending battle that the South decided to end the battle. The North won the battle. To reconstruct the Reconstruction era. This caused the 13, 14, and 15 Amendments. 13 gave abolished slavery. 14 gave the freedmen rights. The 15 gave the freedmen the right to vote. Then came the new. Was the December. Then came the December process. The United States began constructing roads. That's that one. Constructing roads. Began to construct roads. Then came the art, music, and literature after the Civil War. And they lived happily ever after.